Shorty gon' hit me up on Snapchat. You know I had to hit it with a snap.
Oh, welcome. I don't know if you know where you are right now, but you're definitely in the right place. In my basement. Actually, yeah, that sounds wrong. That shouldn't be the right place that you are in. Anyways, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on any platform, anywhere, first of all, I'd like to thank you for listening or watching. Or if you accidentally clicked on here, I also don't blame you. All right, just please give it a listen if you want, if you can. If not, I don't. I can't blame you. But also, eat a dick. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. But guys, if you're or girls or whoever you are, I'm not judging. If you're listening to this, I already said this 7 times. You're watching this right now and you're listening to this. Welcome to the inaugural podcast of drumroll, please. That was Chewbacca. The Finding Neema podcast. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is me. My name is Neema. AKA Neema Naz on my social media platform, Neema Naz TV on some of the other ones because Neema Naz was taken on certain platforms, which I'm pissed about. Why can't you just give me Neema Naz for every single platform? Okay, just give me all of it. Why you gotta take this away from me? All right, so yeah, you can find me on Neema Naz anywhere on my social media. I'll put it up right here on the video if you're watching. If listening, just search up Neema Naz, Neemanaz, or Z if you're American, which is stupid. It's Z. Also, I'd like to mention before we start this podcast, we are unofficially, officially not sponsored by Just What You Need Likewise sanitary hand gel brand. I don't know if you can see that, or if you're listening, just imagine it. I have a bunch of hand gel, which is hand sanitizer, on deck if any of you need it during the podcast. But unfortunately, you actually cannot physically access it because it's in my basement once again, and it's only accessible to me in my basement, which you're not in right now, which is also a good thing. So you should be happy about that. But also, I've recorded this podcast by the time you're listening to it or watching it, so you literally cannot even have access to my hand sanitizer, which I'm sorry for because I really want to help people be safe and sanitary out there. And please do that if you can. If not, I'm gonna be mad. So, anyways, yeah, this is me. My name is Neema. I'm gonna just this is the first podcast, so I'm just gonna introduce myself a bit, talk about my life, how I, got to where I am right now, what I'm doing, who I am, what I do for a living, my family, everything, just a little bit of everything. Introduction to everything Neema. So yeah, that's if you care. If you don't, it's not up to me. Okay, I'm just here to fucking speak what's on my mind, and whoever wants to listen can listen, and that's all that matters in this world. Okay, just don't worry about other people's opinions. Do your own thing, and yeah, you'll be happy. So, yeah. So I don't know if can you hear me? I don't know. I'm just gonna. I'm hoping people can hear me through this fucking stupid mic that I can't figure out. I'm very okay. There we go. That just lifted up higher. I'm very technologically in advanced, if that makes sense. Actually, I'm okay. I'm obviously I know what I'm doing, but there's some times where I'm is this recording? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm getting weird now. All right. So ASMR. ASMR with Neema Naz on Finding Neema podcast. Okay, so weird shit out of the way. I'll tell you a bit about myself. My name is Neema for the 11th time this past 6 minutes. I am Persian. My background is Persian. I'm Iranian, whatever you want to call it. I like to say Persian. It sounds nicer, just in case you weren't sure about it. It just sounds nicer. You know what I mean? I'd rather just go by Persian rather than go by Iranian. I'll get to that in another episode maybe, but I'm born in Canada. I was born in Canada in Scarborough, Ontario, to be specific. Scarborough, stand up, represent. Scarborough General Hospital, to be clear. If you also were born in that building in the hospital, holler at me, holler at your boy. We're officially friends now. So yeah, I was born in Canada. I was actually the first member in my entire family to ever be born in Canada. I'm the first generation Canadian in my entire line of family. I am Canadian. I am Canadian. Cool, right? Okay, so I was born in Canada. My parents are from Iran. My brother, I have an older brother. He's 6 years older than me. 5 to 6, whatever. He was also born in Iran, but they emigrated to Canada when he was like 4 or 5. So he's like, he has a citizenship and stuff, but he's pretty much technically Canadian as well. But anyways, I'm the special one who was strictly born in Canada. So, okay. I'm 25 years old. Shout out to my 94 babies. Yeah? 94? Ooh, girl. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm a 1994 baby. I'm 25 years old. Quarter century, quarter life crisis, as you know, as it happens to everybody, right? I am currently living in a city called Vaughan, Ontario, which is not my permanent home right now. I'm living in an Airbnb, actually, for that matter, currently, because my house flooded. My other house in Markham, that my family, we've lived in for the past like 16, 17 years. Our basement flooded a few months ago, and we were pretty much forced out of the house, and we had to live in another house. So they got us an Airbnb in fucking Vaughan, which is boring as shit. It's close to Woodbridge, actually, like fucking Dude Bridge, where all the Dude Bros live. Bunch of like, you literally walk outside and it's just freaking Euro blasting out of Honda Civics. This is the rhythm of the night, all night. Oh yeah. All right. So we're currently in a temporary house. So if you're watching this podcast and you see this background, this won't be here after like the third or fourth episode, because by the time I do those episodes, I've already moved back into my old house, which got flooded, because they've been fixing it for like 5 months now, because it not only flooded, they wanted to test for asbestos, because that house is so old. It was like bound to have it, and they actually did test positive for asbestos, which is bullshit. So we actually had to move out for like 5-6 months. And I actually don't like this area that we're living in right now. It's kind of boring. It's kind of bland. When you walk outside, people are just like not that friendly, or like they just like don't want to make eye contact at all. But in the old neighborhood, it's very like homey. It's very cozy. You know what I mean? You just feel at home, and it's just a part of your identity. You just feel like you belong to somewhere, right? So not all the houses are like the same, and you know, like a fucking Monopoly village. So we're moving back end of April, which is coming up in like 2 weeks, I think, or 3 weeks. Right now I want to talk about, actually, real quick, current events that's happening. It's quarantine. We're living in the fucking quarantine, boys and girls. All right, so which means it's the coronavirus. Coronavirus is happening. There's a coronavirus pandemic worldwide right now, which we're living in. We've all been quarantined for the past month, which has been hectic, and it's been crazy, man. Like, just from having to take care of, like, you know, sanitizing everything, your hygiene. You can't literally, you can't go about life the same way as you could have like 2 months ago. Everything's all like just very strict, and everyone's all paranoid and scared. It's kind of a weird time, man. I've obviously never lived through this before, and I'm sure a lot of you who are listening or watching also have never gone through something like this. So, yeah, it's just a weird time. I'll get into that in a second, but I just want to continue giving a little background to my life too. I'm a comedian and actor. If you didn't know already, if you follow my Instagram or my YouTube or any other social media platform, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, which I'm starting up again, I've been making content online overall on across all platforms, mostly YouTube and Instagram for the past about it's almost 6 years now. It's like 5.5 years. Yeah, past 5.5 years, I've been making videos online, just comedy videos, anything I find funny, accents, impressions. Shut the fuck up, laptop. I'm trying to do a podcast. Anything, sketches, stand up, and shit like that. So I actually, I grew up obviously, in a Persian household, in a Middle Eastern household. Everything's strict, right? Like your parents are strict. They hammer you down with like having to get A grades in math, science, geography, English. You have to be an A+ student. Like you can't fuck around, no mistakes. And then like put you in like extracurricular activities, volunteer groups. I had to do sports and shit. Like I grew up. Me and my brother we both grew up doing competitive sports, especially swimming. That was one of the first ones we did. My brother was a very highly competitive swimmer. I was too for about 5-6 years, for my age group at least. And yeah, I played rep soccer, competitive soccer, rep basketball, and just overall I was very coordinated as a just like my physical abilities to like play sports was pretty good. Like it was pretty decent even to this day. Like I'm just a very coordinated person. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying like I was lucky to be able to do stuff and I actually enjoyed playing sports and I love sports and everything. But I was just very I loved having fun as a kid. Just being I don't know if it's a Persian thing or a Middle Eastern thing, but as a people we're very like just like we're fun beings, but we're also very hardworking. But that's a lot of immigrants who like come from developing countries, third world countries. They come over to the Western civilization. They just have that extra like kick, the extra knack of hard work. That like they just like they want to prove something almost like like look at where I came from and look what I'm doing now. I'm adapting to your world now. You don't know shit about Iran. You don't know shit about the fucking the I had to fucking ride donkeys and shit back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, not me. I'm saying like talking about my parents and like my past generations before them, just immigrants in general. Like, so that was pretty much passed on down to me in my life, which was pretty cool. And yeah, like I've always been like pretty competitive person in sports. I'm a very creative person. I've always been very creative. I loved laughing. I love dancing. I love singing. I love making jokes, make people laugh. I just never knew any of this what I actually enjoyed doing and what I could actually kind of do to turn it into a career until later in life. Like as a kid, like I was just like fucking around. Like I was very, just like a lovable kid, like very bubbly. I love entertaining people, just like joking around with my friends, my family, people I meet, teachers, whoever. And I was a drummer for 8 years. If you're a drummer, I salute you. It's a very fun thing to do, also very tough. But I loved it, man. I love playing drums. I was in bands my whole pretty much growing up. As soon as I got into high school, I was in 3 different bands. One was called Mega Band, which is like the school band. It's like an orchestra almost. One was a jazz band, which was also in the school. I was obviously playing the drums in the jazz band, which was actually very, very fun. Shout out Mr. Caswell, my music teacher in high school, Markham District High School, by the way. So, yeah, and then I also just I did like a couple side band shows, I guess whatever you want to call it, with another group of guys who I was friends with in high school. So, I love doing all those things, and I actually moved around a lot when I was a kid, from like town to town, and by grade 6, I'd have gone to 4 different schools, and so I never really developed any friends like early on, like from like kindergarten, like childhood friends, whatever you want to call it, quote unquote. But as soon as I got to grade 6, I actually went to a school called Franklin Public School, which is like pretty much where I met some of my boys, some of my best friends. Shout out my boy Zach Shaban and my other boy Kavi Kurundeva. Those are my day ones, man. My childhood friends, and we're still friends to this day. To this day. We've been friends for like 15 years, I think, over 15 years. That was grade 6 was like, I think I was 11 or something. I'm 25. Yeah, like probably like around 14, 15 years. So yeah, man. Anyways, that's enough of my childhood. No one fucking cares. Whoever's listening to this, I'm sorry if you're bored or I'm boring you. I probably bored like at least a bunch of people out by now. Clicked out. Like, what the fuck am I listening to? I'm not finding Neema. I'm more like not caring about Neema. I'm kidding. But thank you once again if you're watching or listening. So, anyways, I'm a comedian actor now, but I didn't know this. I didn't know I could have this life up until 5-6 years ago. So a little backstory to how I got into comedy. First of all, before I mention that, my mom, shout out my mom, shout out my dad, shout out my brother for just like raising me, and you know, they did a lot for me, man. I thank you guys all for doing so much for me. They really, like, without them I'd be nowhere right now, and like the support I have from them is honestly, I can't ask for any more. I mean, a little bit more, but you know what I mean? From Middle Eastern parents, at least. They're very supportive people, and I'm very blessed, very lucky, very grateful for that opportunity to have them in my life. Although, like, you know, I've talked about with my brother in another podcast, which me and him are doing together. It's called Straight and Curly. We talked about real shit about how, like, our parents raised us and how it affected us negatively, positively, but I'll get into that later. So, my mom's a chef. She's been a chef, Persian chef, for like her whole life. She's very smart, very determined, very hardworking person. She's like kind of like she's very resilient. She never gives up. That's the one thing I've taken from her, which I have it's a quality in me today. And so she's done everything. She's been a chef. She's studied hospitality, studied real estate. A culinary school. Like, she's killing it, man. Like, at the age of like 50 and 60, she's been doing all this, studying. I'm like, no one else is fucking doing this, so kudos to her. My dad's an engineer. He's been an engineer for about 30-40 years now. Yeah, so he is obviously very hardcore, strict guy, very, you know, very like by the book shit, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't fuck around. Very highly skilled in math, science, all that shit. So my whole life I was kind of pressured into like doing well in school, academics, but as I started growing older and older, I never really enjoyed doing the you know, the homework and, like, you know, I gotta do fucking equations and shit. Like, it was fun, it was fine, but I just didn't like, I did well too. I just never really had, like, I didn't know at the time because I was a kid, but I never really found it like appealing for me to do every day. I was like, why the fuck am I doing this every day? Like, why do I have to get a tutor and do it after school as well? Is in school not enough? And so I always just kind of like hated on doing academics and school and all that shit for a while. And then like throughout high school, I always fucked around. I got in trouble a lot. Not a lot, but like I've gotten suspended a few times, and I'll talk about that in a different episode. But I kind of just got distracted a lot in high school with friends, partying, you know, just fucking around a lot, and like just trying to be like just like the class clown per se, whatever you want to call it, the school clown. And I had a fun time. It was great, and I met a lot of cool people, and, you know, got a good rep, if you want to fucking call it that. Not that it matters now, but in high school, everyone's trying to be cool and shit, right? So, but I never really enjoyed the academics, but I felt like I had to do it because my parents wanted me to do it, right? So that's the only way I thought I could be successful. I could do something for myself by doing well in calculus and knowing Pythagorean theorems and the fucking square root of a parabola, which to this day I have no idea what that means or why I need to know it. I just drank water for the people who are listening on audio. My throat is parched. Just give me a fucking break. So, anyways, so I live my whole life pretty much just like kind of thinking, not thinking for myself and thinking through my parents' mindsets, right? And kind of did what they wanted me to do. And I didn't realize that until later after high school, where I actually, so grade 12 finished, and it was time to apply for colleges and universities. And in Canada, university is equivalent to colleges in the States or whatever. But so I had a lot riding on me, a lot of pressure on me, because first of all, my brother, he got into University of Toronto before I did, obviously, when he graduated high school, and he was in the kinesiology program at U of T, University of Toronto, which is a very like top tier university in the world, let alone Canada. It's literally top 10 in the world. So he was doing that program for like 3-4 years, and then like it was my turn now to go into university, and I was like, fuck, man, like what do I like? They always told me like, oh, you have to like just do something. I was like, all right, well, fuck, what do I like? Science, math, like English. I don't like English, geography, like whatever. Like I was always just about everything. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm decent at science, or like I have some interest in science and biology, and I don't know, like math is okay, whatever. But so I thought, okay, whatever. Like, oh, my brother's doing kinesiology. I guess I could just do that. I follow his path, and because I did that a lot as a kid throughout my whole life. I look up to my brother as my role model, because he's helped me a lot in many different situations, and so I thank him for that. And so by that, I kind of followed his suit and wanted to go into kinesiology at U of T as well. So I was like, fuck it, why not? So I applied to a bunch of universities, and that summer, that's when they started you'd get the letters in the mail saying like, oh, you've been admitted to this program, blah, blah, blah. Or you get a rejection letter in an email. So the summer goes by, and every week I start getting rejection letter after rejection letter after rejection letter. And now I'm like, fuck, man, like, shit, like my hopes, like I'm losing hope here. Every university is turning me down, and my grades weren't that bad. I was at like, I think my average going out of high school was like 82 or something, or like 81. And I was like, come on, man, like that's pretty good, right? I should get into some program. The prerequisites I remember were like 75 to 80, right? And then like you'd have to have like a good record of like, you know, volunteering, joining clubs throughout high school, like, and I did all that. I was in clubs, I was in bands, I was everywhere, right? Leadership, everything. So I was like, yeah, like I'm good. But then I started getting rejection letters, and I was like, fuck, man, what is happening? And then finally, the last one to get back to me was the one I wanted to get into, and the one my parents want me to get into, and the one my brother was in at U of T. And also my dad went to U of T as well. So I was like, there's my whole life is riding on this moment. If I don't get it to U of T, I'm a failure, obviously, right? By trade. Like that's how you think as a kid, as a teenager. You're like, you don't know any better, right? So especially growing up in an immigrant household, like there's a lot of pressure, and like you have to do well. You have to get into university, right? That's the only way. Get into university, get a degree, start a family, have a 9-to-5 job. That's your life. That's it. So I'm waiting for the last one to come, U of T, right? So a few days goes by, and then all of a sudden I get an email in my email, and it was from U of T. And immediately, like my heart skipped a beat when I saw it pop up on my phone. I click on it, and I start reading it. I was like, yo, I was telling, because I was at home with my parents and my home family. I was like, yo, I got an email from U of T. Yo, listen, look. And I open the email, and I start reading it, and it says, dear Neema, or whoever, I don't remember exactly, but we want to congratulate you on being admitted into the Kinesiology, Physical Health, and Education program at U of T 5-year concurrent education program, because I want to go into like, I don't know, like teaching, gym and shit like that, whatever. And then that was the email. I was like, yes, I got in. Let's go. All right. Got the email. I literally broke down in tears in front of my dad because I seeing how ecstatic he was, how excited I was, because I was like, yes, I didn't let my parents down. I'm not a failure. Let's go. My parents aren't gonna hate me. I'm not a disgrace to Middle Eastern parents, and you know the tradition of going to University of Toronto specifically. So I started breaking down in tears. I was like, yes, let's go. And then, I know I'm calming down or whatever. 2 minutes later, I'm in the living room by myself, sitting down, just loving this whole process, messaging all my friends, fucking bragging and shit. 2 minutes later comes, I get another email from UFT again. I click it open. I was like, what the fuck? Wait. What's this? I open the email, and it says, Dear Neema Nazeri, we regret to inform you that the previous email you have received was wrong and was not supposed to be sent to you. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Wait, no, this is not real. And it literally was legit. The bottom admissions from admissions office. It was the exact same email that I got previous to that. It was the legit email from the admissions from UFT. And I was like, and instantly in that moment, my heart sunk. I shattered. Because I was like, what the fuck? Didn't you guys just tell me I got in? How can you fuck that up? That's such a big mistake. You can't just do that with someone's heart, bro. And so I read that email, just like I got shook immediately. And then I told my parents, I was like, oh, fuck. And they're like, what? And I was like, yo, they just emailed me saying it was the wrong email. I wasn't supposed to get that email. I actually didn't get in. And that was my rejection letter pretty much. It's UFT. And so, yeah, that whole thing just kind of fucked up my, not only just like in the moment, but it literally shifted my perspective and my mindset about schooling at that point. Even though I already didn't really care for school up until that point. All throughout high school, man, I hated waking up to go to 8 a.m. like English class. Like, why the fuck am I waking up this early for something I don't give a fuck about, that I don't like, that I'm not good at even? So throughout those whole few years, I just like started resenting school and like just like the system itself. And from that moment on, that when I got that rejection letter, I was like immediately turned off by schooling, like higher education and stuff like that. Not that I don't care about like education and learning stuff and like being knowledgeable. That's very important. I'm not taking that away from anybody. And honestly, and even I'm not even like shitting on academics in general. I'm just saying from my point of view, personally, for me, I didn't like it and I don't care for it, and I don't think it's a good idea. But for other people, yeah, like, yo, there's some people who are amazing and they excel in academics and should be going to university and should be becoming doctors. Like, we need these people, right? And there are certain people who are like made out for those things and are suited for those. And I'm not even hating on those at all. So anyways, I got rejected, and now my whole year got fucked because I was like, well, I can't go to school this coming fall. I have to take a year off. I got rejected from everywhere. And then now this is the darkest moment of my life, where I got like pretty sad and hard on myself and very depressed and like just a lot of issues, man. Mentally, I just kind of like gave up on myself and my life, because I was like, man, like, am I really even like good at anything? I feel worthless. I just let down my entire family. The legacy of going to UFT and like all this shit just started piling up. I started giving up on my weight. I started gaining a lot of weight. And I just kind of like was in a very dark point in my life so now my dad's like, well, he was obviously disappointed. Well, he's like, well, you can't just like sit at home all day. You have to find jobs, go work, and then get a private tutor, go to private class school, and then build up your grades again, and then apply again next year. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, well, all right, I guess. So actually the first 4 months, starting in September, when all my friends got into school and they started going out to universities, that's when like everything changed, where I just stopped seeing my friends again from that point on, and like I was just alone because everyone else got in and I didn't. And now I'm at home. I'm 18 years old at this point. For first 4 months after I got rejected, I was like a bum. Dude, like literally a bum. I chilled at home all day, playing video games until 7 in the morning, eating junk food with my brother. Like, he was in a basketball too, like not in a basketball, but he was at least working and doing shit. But he also like wasn't eating as good as we are both now. But at the time, like he was like just like spending money on food and like takeout, delivery, and like every day we'd be doing that when my parents went to work, putting in work, just doing hard work, hours on end, coming home and then seeing me just being a loafed a bum on my couch in the basement, yelling at my TV because I didn't fucking win a game in NBA 2K, and fucking raged and caught as well. So I pretty much I was just like binging video games, junk food, like sleeping in until like 2, 3, 4, 5 p.m. sometimes every day for 4 or 5 months. And it was ridiculous, man. And like at some point, like I sunk to the bottom, man. And from that point on, it was important what happened after, because I got obviously a talking from my brother and my family, and they're like, "Yo, you can't do this anymore. Get a job." And so I actually started getting up. I tried getting jobs. I got some jobs. I got a job right away. Actually, I applied to Pickle Barrel, which is a restaurant, whatever, some bullshit, whatever. And I got a busboy position. If you don't know what a busboy is, it's pretty much a person who's a bitch. You're the bitch of the restaurant. You go around cleaning other people's shit up. And it was funny because, ironically, I didn't do that for myself at home, yet I was the one cleaning other people's stuff. Doesn't make any sense, right? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing in my life. So I was like, whatever, I got the job. And I always hated working for other people too. That's what I noticed when I started working jobs for the first time. I realized I hated authority. I hated working for someone else. And so that also clicked for me right away. I was like, I don't like schooling. I don't like this system, like following a herd, like a sheep. I don't like working for someone else above me. I don't like following demands from another person, right? I started rebelling against that. I started having troubles with managers, and like I quit like after 3 months every job I had after that. And so I started working these shitty jobs. After that, I worked at Domino's, being a fucking pizza maker, oven, whatever attendant. That was bullshit for a few months. Like, I was just like lost, you know what I mean? And then I finally kind of like got my grades up, went to private school, pretty much paid my way up to better grades. It was like 90s. And then I finally applied again after the year after. I got into U of T this time, and it was legit. I got a whole package. It wasn't an email. I made sure I didn't like get too excited right away. And then I finally, okay, cool. I got in. I got into kinesiology, U of T. I'm excited. The year starts. It's a great start to the year. We have an orientation retreat at this camp called Camp New Moon, which is really dope. It was actually a really fun time. I enjoyed it. Made some really cool connections, cool friends. That I guess like I don't really talk to them a lot anymore now, but there's a couple I'm still in touch with. But I finished that whole year, and like it was a cool experience. Whatever. I lived at this residence called Chestnut, which fucked my whole weight up again, because it was an unlimited all-you-can-eat buffet every single meal of every day. And I lived there with a roommate, and it was like shit, whatever, until I'll tell that story another time too. But I gained more weight. I kind of like half-assed going to lectures and like learning shit. I didn't really care for writing stuff and like watching someone talk for 2 hours about the cardiovascular system and shit, even though it's interesting stuff. I just didn't like the method of learning at the time, and having to wake up following this certain schedule of things that I didn't really want to do, but I just had to do it because I got in. I had to go into university, right? That's what my parents want. It's what society thinks is the right thing to do. It's the only way to be successful. I go into school, the semester finishes, and then the second semester comes, and I'm like just not feeling it anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna finish this year or whatever. Like, I don't know, but I'm not feeling it, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna half-ass it. I kind of like just didn't stop caring, and then the year ended, and this is the most pivotal point of my entire existence right now, up until this point, to this day, where I'll also wrap up this whole podcast because it's been 30 fucking minutes, and I feel like I've been talking about nothing. But if you're still watching or listening at this point, I honestly appreciate you so much, and thank you for supporting me in what I do. It really means a lot. So, pretty much to wrap this whole point together is the summer of, this was 2014, summer of 2014, June 2014, around that time. I finished first year of kinesiology at U of T. I did okay. I finished in like the 70s, whatever, average. The summer comes, and actually, during exam time that year, I got introduced to YouTube. I started, actually, it was the year before that, like before I started kin. I started watching YouTube a lot. I loved watching YouTube videos of people like just like who were funny or entertaining. I started getting into YouTube more. It was like 2012 or 2013. End of 2014 though, during exam time, that's when I was friends with this guy named Darian. Shout out Darian Chetram. You're probably one of the reasons, literally one of the fucking first reasons why I actually am doing what I'm doing right now. So I'll get into that. Me and him both started like, I was still the funny guy. I was always the funny guy throughout my whole life. At this point, I was always the person who was funniest in the room. I loved making people laugh at the time. I was like always enjoying maybe, as much as I hated going to school and like doing certain things for school and like, you know, my life in general at the time. I always found joy in making other people laugh and entertaining them, and made me happy. And I love laughing and having a good time. I met Darian and Kin, and we became friends. And he started talking about comedy and like how he liked comedy. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. Like, what do you mean? Like, and he's like, stand up, man. I love watching stand up comedy. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it's cool. Like, I never really like knew anything about stand-up comedy except for the fact that me and my dad actually used to watch Russell Peters every week at home on TV, like all the time. I loved watching Just for Laughs and like Russell Peters growing up as a kid, because like he loved doing accents and I loved doing accents. And so I found that in common with this Darian guy, and so he introduced me to stand-up comedy. And so I started watching stand-up comedy on YouTube. And I was like, whoa, this is just fucking jokes. This is amazing. And I started discovering people like, obviously, Russell Peters at first, and then Dane Cook. I loved Louis C.K. And then I found a couple Persian comedians who were like similar to me from my background, which hit more home for me was, you know, Maximini, Miles Jabrani, and then Amir K, my fucking favorite. And then, you know, Kayvon. And then, you know, it's very interesting what happened with that later on in my life now. But I'll get to that in another episode. So I discovered all these comedians and I started watching YouTube. I started binging YouTube videos and like pranks and sketches and like accent videos, song parodies. I loved that shit. I loved watching all that stuff on YouTube. And so exam season came and I was like, yo, I'm going to start watching these comedy videos before my exams because it helps me like clear my mind. And so I started watching stand-up comedy. I found myself watching it every single day, every night. I was just like watching it and like obsessed with it. And then I pretty much fell in love with it. And then the summer comes, and Darian's like, yo, man, you want to go to a comedy show with me? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, there's a comedy show at Yuck Yucks downtown. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I've never been. Like, yeah, sure. So we go to this place called Yuck Yucks on Richmond Street. And the show we went to was an amateur night on Tuesday night. It was a Humber Night comedy showcase, which means it was a show by Humber students at the Humber College in Toronto. I was like, what the fuck is Humber's a comedy night? So the show ends, and one of the guys I actually saw on that night was a guy named Curtis Connor. And this guy is blown up now. He's like millions of followers across all platforms. Just massive now. He's a huge. At the time, though, he only had like 20, 30K followers and subscribers, which is pretty much what I have now on my social media, which is pretty cool. I talked to him after the show because he was on the show. I was like, yo, man, what's this Humber night? And he told me, he's like, yo, yeah, it's a Humber comedy program where they offer comedy courses in a 2-year program at Humber College. I was like, what the fuck? You can just learn comedy and do it for a living? Like, you can just study this and, like, get a diploma and, like, you know? And he's like, yeah, man. And so that night, I was so intrigued because I loved that night itself. I got adrenaline. I can't even speak right now. I'm so excited. I got an adrenaline rush from watching that comedy show that night. Live laughter. I was like, what the fuck? This is incredible. I actually saw myself on stage as well doing that as well. I was like, what the fuck? This is so cool. I went home that night, searched up the program, saw all the courses they offered, and I immediately fell in love. I immediately was like, yo, this is for me. I found it. This is what I'm meant to do. What the fuck am I doing in the University of Toronto learning about physiology of blood and shit? What the fuck? I don't care about that. Like, it's interesting, sure, but it's not for me. And so that summer, I just like binged comedy. I was so tuned out of school and like studying for bullshit academics that I brought it up to my parents. I was like, yo, I had to stir up the courage. But like, what sparked me to do that first was my brother. He was the other reason why it kind of manifested for me to make this decision. I saw my brother, he was in culinary school at the time. Because after he finished kin, he didn't like kin, so he went. He finished kin, but he didn't like it. So he sat down with my parents one night in the summer, that same summer, and he was like, "Yo, I don't want to do kin anymore. I don't want to become a chiropractor. I want to go into culinary school. I like cooking." And at that moment, sorry, let me take a fucking sip of water because I'm about to go in. God damn, water is good. Shout out water, man. Fuck. My throat's on fire. So, I've talked so much. My brother tells my parents he doesn't want to do kin anymore, and that immediately clicked for me. I was like, what? If my brother's changing his path, why the fuck can't I change my path? Right? So, that moment right there literally made my decision to drop out of university, to follow my dream and my passion, which I just found out about a couple months ago, of comedy and acting. This is what I'm meant to do, man. I'm here to entertain the world. I thought back to my whole life. I was like, every situation I was in, the only thing I genuinely enjoyed and I loved doing was making people laugh and entertaining them, no matter what the situation. People in fucking Mayweenies, in parties, in our house, as a kid growing up, with my parents' friends. We were all fob Persian people. They were like always like, "Yo, Neema, go up, make us laugh. Go up, come on, do that thing video where you do the accent, make fun of your mom. Come on, yeah, go, come on, do it." And I did it every single time. And so that decision my brother made me realize, oh, I want to do this. So that month, I told my parents, hey, man, like I kind of want to just drop out and do comedy. And like obviously that was a big shock to them. Because they're like, what? Comedy? You're going to make people... You're a clown? You're going to make people... Sorry, I just hiccup. You're going to make people laugh for a living? Like, what are you talking about? You're delusional. How are you going to make a living? How are you going to live? How are you going to survive? Like, are you going to get a degree? Are you going to get a job after that? Like, how are you going to, like, live doing this? And then, like, obviously, I knew... I can't blame them for thinking the way they are because they came from a different era. Like, they don't like comedy isn't a thing for them back home. They don't have that. They can't just drop everything and become a comedian there. Right? That's not possible. But here in North America, in Canada, it's beautiful over here. There's a land of opportunities. You can do comedy and make a living off it. I've seen many people do it. Kevin Hart, Dane Cook, Russell Peters. I'm seeing these guys do it every single day. And I'm like, why can't that be me? So, September comes. I'd made a decision. All right, well, I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to do it because I need to do this. This is for me. And he's like, well, if you're going to do it, you better stick to it because if you drop out now, there's no going back. And that moment really just stuck to me forever. And every single day of my life till this point and forever, I will think about that moment where he said, there's no going back because he's right. There is no going back. And I wasn't intending on going back because I knew this was the career for me and that I was going to be successful no matter what, doing what I love. And so September comes, I drop out of university, go into admissions. Before I did that, I went to 2 classes the first week of second year. As soon as I was in the lecture, I saw my friends. I was like, oh, that's cool. I did not give one single fuck about what this guy was talking about, the lecture, exercise physiology. I was like, I'm tuned out. I'm done. I immediately went to admissions office that day, dropped out, got my money back for the rest of the year, never paid more tuition after that, and that's it. I was on my way to a new path. And so fast forward a few months, I had to audition to go into the Humber program still. So this is the fucked up part. I dropped out first before actually getting in to the comedy program. So if I dropped out and I didn't get in to the other program, I'd be fucked. I'd be disowned for sure. Like my parents are already pissed and disappointed. And then they'll be like, are you kidding me? You didn't even get in? Right? You're a failure, for real. But that's what fueled me since that point, because I was like, there's no way I'm failing it. Like, there's no way I can't do this. I have to do this. So I did everything I could to get to that point. And when the audition came in February, that I was like, okay, I have to get in. How can I get better? How can I start doing comedy? How can I start before I start? I need to learn something now. So I remembered I was binging YouTube videos. I was like, hey, why don't I start a YouTube channel? There we go. I was like, it clicked for me at that moment. I was like, oh, sick. Okay, here's where I can start. I can start writing shit. I can start writing stand-up material, as garbage as it is, and it was. And I'll show you guys some of it later. I started creating YouTube videos, weekly videos, and I stuck to it every single week for 2 years at least. I started making weekly YouTube videos. I did collabs with anybody, made things that I thought were funny. Now that I look back on it, fucking cringe and so shit. But you have to start somewhere, right? If I judged myself at the time, and if I listened to the critics and people criticizing me, my friends, even my family saying, oh, like, this is shit, this is cringe, this is awkward, oh, it's not that funny. If I let that control me, I would not be where I am right now. So if you're out there thinking of doing something, just go for it, okay? Don't fucking listen to other people's opinions. Just do it. So anyways, I go into this fucking 4 or 5 months before I have to audition. I do YouTube videos regularly. I'm writing. I'm trying to act or whatever. The audition comes. I'm nervous as fuck. My dad actually drives me. We're going, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yo, I'm pumping myself up. I'm like, yo, I have to get it, bro. I have to get it. So I go into the audition, and I found out that there's going to be other people at the audition too, so I was extra nervous. So what we had to prepare was 2 minutes of stand-up, one sketch, like a script of like a funny scene, and then improv activities with the other people auditioning on that day. So I go in, there's 10 other people, I do my thing, each activity in front of the judges, which are the teachers and the profs at the time. And then after the 2 minutes of stand-up that you do it in front of the judges only, they ask you questions. And they asked me a question that, like, I feel like I fucking hit them in the heart, bro, because like they fucking felt it when I told them. They're like, why do you think you deserve to be in this program? And I just snapped. I was like, yo, like, honestly, man, I told them the whole story I just explained on this fucking podcast I've been talking about for 7 hours. I told them everything. I was like, yo, this is my backstory. This is what I got through. This is what I went through. This is my background. This is what I can provide. This is my passion. Like, this is how I got to this point. Like, all the decisions I made to get to this point, and there's nothing more in life I want to do than comedy and entertain people. And that moment, like, they were like, okay, well, like, that's great. Like, it's good to know. Thank you so much. And we'll let you know if you got it in a few weeks. So a few weeks, they told me a few weeks I'd find out. So obviously that first day I was like, fuck, I was stressing. I was like, high anxiety. Oh my God, like, I'm stressing. I'm like, yo, I better get it. I have to get in, bro. Am I going to get in? I start doubting myself. Bro, 2 days goes by, and I found out. Actually, 2 days goes by, and then I got a letter in the mail, and it was a package from Humber College, and inside the package was an admissions letter to the Humber Comedy Writing and Performance Program 2015. Neema Naz got in. I got into the program 2 days after I auditioned. That's unheard of, bro. They don't do that. They said weeks after. That means I fucking smashed that shit. I did so well, or at least I tried so hard. I showed them the passion behind what I want to do, that they love that so much. They're like, yo, we need this guy in the program. This guy will lead. This guy, like, and I did. I fucking wanted it. I showed them I wanted it. And later that week, I found out more than 500 people auditioned, and they only accepted 30 people into the program. Like, that boosted my whole confidence, man. That changed my whole life. And then I fast forward 2 years. I did a bunch of performing. That first year I started doing stand-up. I started stand-up in 2015, September 16th of 2015. I started my first stand-up set. Garbage, absolute dog shit. I have the recording. I will actually play it for you in another episode. Or maybe I'll play it now. I don't know. I'll see. But probably another episode. So I counted over 500 sets that year of stand-up. I did a bunch of writing. I learned how to act. I learned how to improvise. I learned how to write sketch, write for TV, everything. Improvise, physical comedy. Had a great time. Met some dope people, some funny people I'm friends with today. My boy Ricky Slapstick, really funny guy. And then yeah, man, I was pretty much top of my class every year, both years. I smashed it, bro. Every performance, I was never late. I never missed a class. I showed up. I was nice. I was positive. I was optimistic, hardworking. Bro, I wanted it so bad, and I showed it to these people. And they saw that in me and then gave me all the opportunities that I deserved, obviously, because I put in the work. And that's what it takes, man. And so 2 years goes by, performed a bunch, got on a few good showcases, got seen from cool people, a couple agents, a couple people. Nothing really happened. And then that's it, man. Like, after that, I pretty much was on my own, worked a few jobs, again, part-time jobs just to make money. And then I kind of lost track of what I was doing. And then at some point last year, in January of 2019, I was working 3 jobs. I was a referee for soccer, I was a lifeguard, and I was working at the rec room downtown Toronto, and at a place called Ono Poke Bar. And I was working for the Leafs as a hype crew member, which I still am to this day. In January of 2019, fast forward all those years of doing comedy in the program, graduating with honors, everything. 2019 comes, my brother, he's like, yo, man, I lost a lot of weight at that point. I lost 90 pounds in a year. I was working on myself. I wasn't really focused on my stand-up or my videos. I stopped making videos and shit again. Like, I kind of was losing focus of what the purpose was of me doing this stuff. He goes, hey, man, you have to quit. You're going to move back home, because I was living downtown in a condo I couldn't afford. My dad owns right now. I couldn't afford paying the rent. So my brother's like, yo, just move back home. Quit most of your jobs. Keep one of them that you like. And start making content on Instagram. This is where it's at right now. It's hot. I listened to him. And that changed my life even more. Because fast forward a year and a bit now. It's just over a year. And I've garnered over 100,000 followers across all platforms just from posting content, because my brother told me to post content daily on my social media, which I did. Gained a following, got viral a few times, even till this day. And shit's been good, man. Like, I can't complain but this didn't happen overnight, man. All this shit happened starting from that moment in kinesiology where I started to love comedy. And 6 years later, here I am doing what I love every single day. And now I'm here entertaining you guys, whoever. If it's one person, fuck it, I don't care. I just want to change people's lives. I want to support people. I want to inspire people to do what they love, do what makes them happy, especially coming from an immigrant background, okay? I feel you. I've been there. I know how it is. But there's hope, man. And it only happens with you. It starts with you changing your mindset, listening to yourself, thinking for yourself, making your own decisions, and taking some action and being confident more than anything. And that will get you far in life. Just believe in yourself and go for it, okay? Trust me. It will work out if you actually have a passion for something. And I want to be that person. I want to be a role model to millions of people, telling them that they can do what they want, no matter what it is. So that's it, man. I mean, I don't know. I've rambled a lot. It's been almost an hour of me talking, and I hope this was valuable, honestly. I honestly thank all of you for watching or listening up until this point. Thank you for all the non-sponsorships I have, including this Likewise sanitary brand. Thank you so much for watching, man. This has been the first episode, I guess, of Finding Neema. Come back next week, man. I'm uploading these podcasts weekly on my YouTube channel for video and previews on Instagram, obviously, but full videos will be on YouTube, my YouTube, every single Monday at 2 p.m. So please stay tuned for that. I'm posting weekly vlogs every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. Weekly YouTube video, long form, about 10 minutes roughly, around there, every Thursday at 2 p.m. and YouTube live stream at 2 p.m. every Friday. And then daily videos on Instagram, daily tweets on Twitter, daily TikToks on TikTok. I just started a Snapchat account, Neema Nazeri, so follow me on there, where I just document micro content of my days. There's random shit if you want. follow me on everywhere, man. Neema Naz TV. Find me there. And I really thank you guys all for the support. My name is Neema Nazeri, Neema Naz, aka Neema Naz, on my social media. And yeah, man, I think that's about it for this episode, for this week. Thank you so much for listening once again. And I hope you took something out of it. And I guess got a little insight into my life. And I hope you enjoyed it and come back for the next episode, because it's not going to be all me just rambling about my life, all right? I just wanted to get that out of the way for the first episode, and then the next ones, it's going to be much more entertaining, I promise. I'll be more funny, and it'll just be me ranting about different shit, like and funny stuff. It'll be more interactive. I'll get some questions from you guys, from my audience, my fans, who is interested, and yeah, it'll be a good time. So, yeah, that's it for this week, and thank you so much. I will see you guys next week. All right. Peace.
They gonna hit me up on Snapchat, so you know I had to hit it with a snapback. Big ting, yeah, she from Iraq. Yeah, you know I had to go and bag that.